get that going. So.
Yeah, it didn't take too long to get out here.
No, it's not too bad of a drive. I was willing to come out there, but I really appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah.
Do you need headphones to check levels or anything?
No, it's pretty good where it's at. So, yeah, I kind of run with like the Mark Maron School of Podcasting, where I've already hit record.
Right.
So we're going. So
that's fine. That kind of takes away the anxiety of the red light, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like you said too, it's yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a work in progress. It's pretty loose form. So, so how have you guys been hanging with all this COVID stuff?
It's been interesting. I mean, certain things that we were talking earlier, certain things about the timing of it. It's just like, of course, COVID shuts everything down right now. Like I know people that are starting businesses that just started toward the end of the year and had to shut down. But for us, for like Kat and I, we're doing okay. I mean, I'm furloughed, but you know the financial impact isn't very significant. Kat was reduced to 80%.
Oh wow.
So you know, when I come back, I'll probably be at 80%. So down the road, it might get a little more complicated, but for now, it's been, you know, I've been staying busy.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned. I talked to Scott Lurs, and he was saying that like, you know, he was a bartender at like 2 or 3 different bars, and he's like, obviously I'm making tons of money bartending. He's like, but with unemployment, like the stimulus check, it's like I'm getting okay, you know, doing all right. So
yeah, it's kind of strange. I'm hearing that a lot of folks are doing better than all right. Like some folks are doing better than they were doing.
Getting more than buy. So.
Well, I mean, you factor in some monthly expenses that are kind of out the window. Like BART's huge for me. You know, that's a few hundred a month. So that's just kind of just erased. You know.
Yeah, you definitely had to kind of reevaluate, which isn't a bad thing. And you know, I was thinking too, because every few years it seems like something like this happens. Right. So like your 5-year recap you sent me, I was like, hey, 5 years ago, you know. There was you had a huge shift in a lot of stuff.
Oh, sure.
So,
yeah, that's kind of like, in my life, that's, like, Kat and I talk about it, some of my friends, closer friends, talk about it pretty regularly, that, like, we identify that moment in time, Zachary's passing, as, you know, there was when Zachary was still here and there was after.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like everyone, you know, the closer you are to ground zero, the more heavily it impacted and changed who you are as a person. But I also like to believe that most of those people are better than they were 5 years ago, anyway. You know.
Like the circle that's still here, or Zachary?
The circle. I guess I'm referring to my friends. Like everyone that went through incredible compounded grief and loss. I think is in a pretty good place today, and you don't know if you're ever gonna find your feet underneath you when you're reeling. You know, that's how you get lost in that kind of mental spiral where you just keep going and going because everything is just so uncertain, unknown, and seemingly meaningless. Like everything that it doesn't mean the world means nothing, and then you realize that so many things around you seemingly mean nothing, and then it takes away purpose, and once you don't have purpose, you don't have drive, and you go nuts. and I did.
Yeah.
And you know, it took a while to learn to crawl, to walk, and to run, but I feel like I have a lot more drive than I did in my 20s, you know, in terms of doing things.
Yeah, and like, kind of, I mean, I'm sure COVID's going to come up a lot in this, but like, that's kind of how I felt recently. Where it says like, dude, I'm just so overwhelmed with all this shit. Like, you can't watch, like, we don't really watch, if we watch the news, it's local news. And it's more for like the quick recap they give you and then the weather. Right. You know, but like even now it's just like, dude, I can't even watch the local news. Like you just get overwhelmed to the point where you're like, I don't care anymore. Like you don't, I was like, give up, but yeah, like the motivation isn't there. The, like, I don't say I stopped caring, but it's like, fuck it, like who cares, you know?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I feel like a lot of that, or the way I'm choosing to understand a lot of that with myself when I kind of battle with that, feeling overwhelmed with just the world being absolutely at the cliff, you know, in every way you can think of it. And I laugh because it's, I don't know, defense mechanism or whatever, but it is comically absurd.
Yeah.
From the White House all the way down to just the kind of travesties we've seen very recently.
Yeah, it's it's baffling because there's no, I mean, there's news on it, and there's thoughts, but a lot of it is almost like Monday morning quarterbacking. Like, oh, this is what we should do, or this is what we should have done, and
yeah, and then weird forecasting, like that's like the prognosticating, like that makes me really uncomfortable with. I'm trying really hard not to do that with the national election, and certainly with COVID.
Yeah,
I mean, here we are on record, right? This is going to air. People are going to listen to it, and if you and I start making stupid predictions about whether or not the second wave hits, how hard it's going to hit, when businesses should open, like that's not our area of expertise.
No, and like. That's why, like I was telling you, I kind of had a hard time finding people to come on, and I think it's because of that. And
the
even
uncertainty,
yeah,
or just like just feeling overwhelmed.
All of it. You know, I don't want to say something stupid. Like, nobody listens to this really. There's like 30 people out there that listen to this, but you know, it is kind of like, well, I don't want to say something that could, you know, what if my boss sees this on social media and listens to it, and then you know, I don't know, but
I mean, if you choose to be yourself in any situation, you're going to offend people at some point, and you're going to there's going to be people that everyone, I don't know, like recently, this is a little off subject, but freeform, so fuck it. But recently I had like a post about like smash burgers on Facebook. So I'm not, you know, that I've only started on social media to promote music years ago when I released some music. And then things have happened since with local politics. But getting back to this post, I try to engage and kind of break the algorithm, you know, by doing look at what I ate kind of shit on Facebook too. I get some joy out of it, but not really. Like it's one of the things I hated about Facebook 10 years ago. But anyway, I did like a smash burger for the first time and kind of did a little photo shoot thing of it and shared it. And one of the comments was from a friend of mine, it's a local activist community, and she's vegan. Like a lot of my friends are vegan, and not many of them are evangelical about it. You know, at least not with me.
In your face.
No, and a couple of them, a couple are, but they're more acquaintance level, you know, and kind of out of the area. I don't run into them. I don't work with them on other issues or anything. But like, I find that it's those innocuous Facebook posts that kind of bring out more impassioned stuff. So I basically kind of got like shamed for eating meat. I was like, dude, I came from like Santa Maria Tri-Tip, man. I mean, like, it's not like I'm being cute here, like. And saying like, you know, everyone should eat meat or fuck all animals.
Yeah, you're not trying to instigate anybody or like.
No, and I do try to instigate people in other ways, but no, I mean, no. And I started doing Meatless Monday. Kat and I started doing Meatless Monday a while ago.
We do that too.
You do you?
Yeah.
It's cool. It was I got it. It was inspired from talking with a vegetarian one time, and she was a little more. I didn't know her well. I met her like at a house gathering here in town. But she was a little more like, we were explaining, like most of our diets like vegetarian anyways. Most carnivores say this, and I think it was probably untrue when we said it too. But everyone always thinks, you're like, oh, you know, I don't need to do meatless. When I encourage people to do Meatless Mondays, they always come back with, there's not a lot of meat in my diet anyway. And be like, oh yeah? Try it.
It's an adjustment, because I remember the first few times I did it, I was like, oh, well, all right, well, whatever. But I'm not like a super picky eater. But it's kind of cool too. You got to be a little bit more creative, and you know, we eat a lot of salmon, which I'm kind of burned out on salmon. But,
are you guys still doing fish on Meatless Mondays?
No, it's.
Oh, okay.
I honestly, I don't really know what day it is, so it's just kind of like all the same at this point.
Is it a school day or not? Is probably the question, right?
Yeah, I think today's Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday.
Yeah. So, no, it's it's pretty chill. It's usually like a salad or something like that, or you know, whatever. I don't know. I'll do the barbecuing, but Katie does most of the cooking. So, but
that's the beginning of this COVID. Like Kat and I both enjoy to cook, but the beginning of the shelter in place. Oh, that's a fun feature.
That's cool.
Have you done outside recordings yet?
No.
So we have some fun variables. The birds will be a nice little accent, and an occasional airplane,
dog barking.
Yeah, it's a comfortable day for it though.
It is.
What was I saying?
Cooking during shelter in place.
Yeah, so Kat was doing a lot of that, cooking things for the first time, experimental stuff in the beginning. But then she got just super busy. She's in HR at the same place that we're both in the same place that we worked at last time we saw you.
HR, that's what Katie does.
Yeah.
And she's busier than ever.
Oh yeah, because the game changes every single day, and if it's a physical space too, if it's an office, you have that end of it of how do you protect your workers.
Yeah.
and get the office. Are they open? Is her place open?
So she works for a giant hospital.
Okay.
So they've opened,
of course they're open.
Yeah, but they've opened in like sections. So like the hospital's obviously open, but then
Right.
like the outlying offices where she is, that's like slowly going into place. But at the same time, her boss is like, "Hey, if you're doing it from home, just keep it up.
Yeah.
There's no point." And that's kind of like what my job is too.
I think there's going to be. Now here we go prognosticating, right?
Yeah.
But I think there is going to be a lot more of that. Kat was talking. I forget who we were talking to originally, but she brought back up just yesterday that someone had pointed out there's like kind of a question about real estate, like commercial business real estate, like a skyscraper. Like the place I work for. Well, I'm furloughed. I don't work for anyone, I guess. But our company is like 2 floors in a skyscraper downtown financial district.
Yeah.
Now everyone in every industry learned exactly how many people they can keep at home. Do you need to pay that now? So what does that do? Does it make the demand go down? Should rent go down in commercial property? Or is it true that everyone needs more square footage to practice social distancing all the time? Therefore it goes up. Or is there going to be like a balance right in between because of those two things?
Yeah, I don't know. My big thing is managing those people that are working from home. Because if you're at the office, you can always kind of find stuff to do and stay busy.
Sure.
But at home, it's pretty easy to just zone out, and
right?
Be more distracted. That's my concern. It's like how many people are going to work from home and actually not work.
Yeah. Well, then you'll see the workforce go down.
Yeah.
Basically, there'll be different ways to measure output. And I hate to even think like that, but like that's probably. I'm not going to make any more forecasts of what's going to happen. I do expect that there's like, it's almost cliche to say that we're not going back to normal, but I think in almost every capacity, it's not going to be what it was.
No, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of changes as far as like even community stuff.
Yeah.
Like volunteering.
Oh yeah.
That's going to change everything. I don't think you're just going to be able to walk into a food bank and be like, hey, I'm going to do an orientation and start tomorrow.
Right.
I think it's going to be limited volunteers. There's going to be scheduled, like there's going to be shifts probably. The Sacramento Zoo, they're opening this week or next week. I think it's next week, and they're limiting how many people can come in. They're going to limit it to like a capacity basically. So, yeah. And I think you're going to see more of that. That's going to be.
I heard Disneyland's opening like next week.
Yeah, I think so. I saw the news this morning. It's either Disneyland or Disney World's opening like in the next week or two.
Yeah, that makes me feel nervous.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But then like
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll live.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like that you gave me kind of a playlist of things to go down here. So.
Oh yeah. Just plug what you want. I didn't know what would be relevant. I just a part of me was like, are we just gonna sit around and go all the way back to the wedding that we met at and just stay there the whole time? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things the last 5 years.
Yeah,
we can prevent that. This time.
We can. But we did go for Zachary's funeral. Scott and Chris Holder and I met at the Cayucas Tavern.
You went back to the Cayucas Tavern.
Which honestly, that might be one of my favorite bars, just because it's so weird. It's giant.
I can't say my memory was on point the evening that I went there.
That was a rough one. But
I remember I went up for a cigarette and you guys got kicked out, like one at a time or something.
Probably. I think somebody threw up out front, but yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, into his urine, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
like under a street lamp,
yeah,
like a spotlight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too deep or depressing, but I didn't realize how many people you've lost.
Yeah.
In like 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a ripple, and it was one of the things. It's one of the things that really hit me while processing Zachary's passing. Obviously, it wasn't helpful. It was suicide. Therefore, you had a lot more like intense, compounded grief.
Yeah.
And with his passing, also for me, just in my own processing, I've been really removed from death. To make it that far into life, and basically not have to experience loss like that. Like I had, I'm the youngest of a big Irish family, so there's I lost I think only my grandpa was alive. Like one of my grandpas was alive, and I met him and he passed away like feels like a week later, but you know, he was in 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know him or anything. So I've never really experienced that loss. So like my childhood best friend's grandma passed away. It was an open casket. I went to that. That was about the closest to death I'd experienced, outside of a pet, which is intense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, then all of a sudden it was, you know, it was my dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was really, really intense. I remember I called you. I broke the news to you, and you sounded like you were out having a good time. I was like, man, I fucked up this evening.
I was at a Chuck Reagan show, and then you were like, I need you to call Scott and Chris.
Oh, that's right.
And I called Scott, and he was like, fuck you, that's not even funny. And I was like, dude, like, I know, but I need you to just stop what you're doing and listen to me.
Yeah.
So, and I think I made
that's the problem. All your friends are smart asses and take every joke too goddamn far.
Oh, and no, you also I had to call Megan.
Yeah. I'm sure someone by that point closer to the family probably had already.
No, because I called her after like a lot of whiskey. I called her and left a voicemail, and then like that next morning, like 5, she called me.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
You know, I still use one of his jokes, like, on the regular.
Zachary's?
Yeah.
What is it?
They played this song at my first wedding.
I'd never heard that one.
You've never heard that one?
I have never heard that one.
Dude.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's my favorite joke. I say it all the time. And then, even, I even dropped it on my first date with Katie. We went to the state fair.
That's why I worked.
Yeah, we went to like the county fair or the Stockton. It was in Stockton somewhere, and Aaron Neville was playing. I was like,
nice.
oh, they played this song at my first wedding, and she goes, what? And I was like, and then that's a hard one to come back from too. You're like, oh, I'm joking. And then, but there's always that doubt now, like.
And on your first date.
Yeah. We're like, are you seriously married before? I'm like, no, I wasn't married, but.
And it's implying that you're married.
I'm married before, and I can't hold things together. So, but he was that. Yeah, I miss that guy a lot, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys were closer, and your circle of friends were closer, but.
Kind of getting back to that a little bit. There was a bit of a, I want to say like a ripple effect. It was something that I was like really paranoid about because I just know that at the time I knew that some of my friends, were processing. A part of me feels like absolutely everybody deals with some level of depression and some level of at times consuming anxiety, and the degree to which they experience it varies, and the degree to which they acknowledge it varies, and the degree to which they manage it varies.
Yes.
So some of them are just alcoholics. Some of them are just internalize all of it, or some of them project it out. And I'm not saying that's what happened with the other people that passed, but when Zachary passed and I was processing all of this, there was like, when you go a few days without sleeping, your mind goes to places drugs can't even take you. It's a really, really strange, very real feeling of like another realm, man. It's fucking insane, quite literally. Yeah. And one of the things I kept dwelling on, because you get these like loop thought patterns that aren't helpful. They're just exhausting. But one of the things I kept processing was that this is quick in the game too. This is like 48 hours, 36 hours into the news. This idea that this is going to be there's going to be an epidemic of this, that I was going to start losing people by them either not taking care of themselves or them hurting themselves. Like, I know how much Zachary's passing hurt me in the moment, and I knew that other people hurt like that in the moment, and I doubted some of them were strong enough to not follow suit like soon, like intentionally take their life. So I was super nervous about that. At one of the many things that was consuming my mind for a little while there. And then I got the call. So that was January when we lost Zachary. In February was my period of rock bottom and figuring myself figuring out how to just be a human being again. Like I took time off work and stuff, and by that time I was on disability. The only other time I've ever been on state income of any kind. It was super confusing and stressful. You know, your mind's already exhausted. You're trying to process this shit.
That's not an easy process. Like that kind of like going through those little channels to like get disability, they don't make it easy. So on top of that, you're trying to figure all that out.
This is the easiest it's been. But I really shouldn't compare the two. But it seems like they have a pretty well streamlined in California, just to understand that everyone's fucked. It's just, hey, apply, click here, don't lie, and we'll clear all this up later.
But yeah, when you're in a mental state of no sleep and you've lost somebody, then you're like, now I got to figure out this crazy shit.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have. It's because I'm fortunate enough to have a strong partner, you know. So like Kat really held everything together there. But it was crazy how much I missed. Kind of get off subject, but it's crazy how much during that time I missed routine. I didn't realize my dependency on routine. I mean, I fucking wrote songs about how much I hate the 9 to 5 grind and the rut. And no one gives a shit about anything, and everyone just works. They define, what do you do? Everyone defines each other by what they do. That whole system, I always hated it. I thought I hated it, and then when it was taken away from me, when I removed myself from it, however you want to look at it, like all I wanted was to do the things that I did before everything got shitty, and I just wanted to. I almost like by proving that I could do that, there would be less. Like, are you okay? Like, it's not fun being a patient, and especially when your ailment is your mind, so to speak. Yeah. It's like you can't. No one's listening to you very, very clearly. You know when you're like walking in downtown San Francisco or something, there's a homeless individual who's clearly suffering from mental illness, yelling shit, and there's this frantic tone that they say, or that they deliver with like something like this urgency of no one's fucking listening to me. Yeah. It's like a
panic
because you're not making any sense. But the thing is when you're in between that level of insane and basically how you or I are right now, any area in there but you've been recognized as having suffering some kind of mental unwellness, then the perception of anyone that you're communicating with is going to be askew a little bit. And I'm not even talking about just the stigma, just regular human contact. The social stigma is its own thing, and I think younger generations are just getting smarter and smarter about letting go of stigmas. But.
Yeah, I think 100%. Dude, I got my nieces and nephews are like 20, 18, and 16, and they're some of the smartest people I know.
Oh, hands down.
It's crazy. And they're like the kindest people too, and they're on a different wavelength.
Sure.
And at one point I was like, how genuine is that? And then you're like, oh, that's how they are. Like they're just super nice people. Yeah. They care and they give a shit.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I mean, I think about that kind of a lot. That's one of the like hopeful things I try to remember, and it's not hard to do, especially if you have nieces, nephews, like cousins, whatever that are Generation Z, or I don't know how they're defined anymore, but just young people, man. Young people are they're more active. Like that's one of the most inspiring things on the social level. And it's not posturing. They're doing it because it's right. They're doing it because they're fucking sick and tired. Yeah. They're just like, we're not going to be as cynical as our parents. Yeah. We're not going to be as jaded. We're not going to say fuck it. We're not going to accept this. We're not going to accept that. It's like, good. Build your future. It's yours. It's all these old people are going to die soon. Yeah. They're trying to take it away from you and keep things the way they are until they're not around.
Be that next wave.
Yeah.
And like.
Yeah, we kind of failed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, no, yes and no, because we're that weird generation, right? I've heard it called so many different things. One of the ones that kind of stuck with me was there's a good article about the Oregon Trail generation. So it's basically the like if you were born, it's the very end of Gen X and the very beginning of millennials.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're born between like late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, there's 2 tiers of millennials, right? That's what I've heard.
I don't know.
I just know that everyone that's like our age, like 38, 37, whatever.
I'm technically Gen X, but then I identify so much more millennials, except I don't have the level of optimism.
Yeah, I like more Gen X music, I think.
Yeah.
If that's where anything.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if I'm Gen X and like Obama's Gen X, like that's crazy.
Yeah, that dude's like 50 something, probably.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, I don't know, man. You guys have Netflix? I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I watched the Daryl Hammond documentary the other day.
Interesting.
That dude had like a crazy upbringing, right? Like a super abusive, terrible mother, and he went into hospitals at a pretty young age, and one of the doctors was like, "This isn't mental illness. This is mental injury." And I never heard it described that way. It's like, oh, that's one way of looking at it. Like, you're not sick. You've been hurt.
Yeah.
And it hit you at the right place and the right time and the right area in your brain where it kind of just bent something and something broke, and
sure,
we got to get better from that. So
thinking about like mental wellness, mental health. Yeah, I've never heard mental injury before. That's an interesting one. I'll have to chew on that for a bit. The one that I heard and liked and tried to incorporate where I can is mental hygiene. Someone like on NPR or something was talking about it one time. I didn't even hear it. Kat heard it, was telling me about it, but it was basically the idea. This educator was explaining, if we taught our kids in school, like, and at home, the importance of mental hygiene with the same exact level of discipline of wash your hands, practice personal hygiene, brush your teeth, practice oral hygiene, like, and why do we do that? So that you stay healthy, so you don't lose your teeth, whatever the case. If you drill that the same way society has drilled with the idea of mental wellness, mental hygiene, you can envision things like kids opening up and talking about fear in kindergarten, first grade, talking about insecurities, addressing insecurities, and just moving forward that way. I just feel like you'd have hearing that really challenged me to think about that whole concept very differently, and I'm still thinking about it. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we definitely try, because with our 4-year-old, she can communicate way better than our 2-year-old, and she'll let us know, like, I'm frustrated. We're like, cool, what's frustrating you? But then it's trying to, like, get her to explain, like, oh wait, why am I frustrated? I just know that word and I associate it with how I'm feeling right now, but I don't know why I'm frustrated. Usually it's because she's tired or hangry.
Right.
But we definitely start that communication. We've started it. Like, we have those talks with her, and because growing up, like, just through my own personal like therapy sessions I do, I realized, and I didn't never realize it until it was brought up, like, you weren't ever exposed emotions. Like, you were never taught how to handle emotions.
No, the closest we had was Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. So, like,
and that's not something all of us watched.
No, I didn't. But
no, it was a little slow for me when I love the shit of it now. Like, when I watch it now, it's like, my God, there needs to be more of this on television.
I still haven't seen the documentary or the Tom Hanks movie.
Do take my advice and do not watch the Tom Hanks movie.
Okay.
Unless you're just curious how he does. He does fine. He does a great job. Of course he does, right?
Yeah, he's Tom Hanks.
But the movie is it's basically a fucking Hallmark special where they inserted Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers into a whole other storyline.
Okay.
It was kind of, I mean, yeah, a sappy tear, feel good night, sure. But to understand it's a fucking Hallmark movie.
Okay.
And it's a little bit, I don't know, I was disappointed because I hold Fred Rogers pretty high regard. Probably largely because of that amazing documentary that came out about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've noticed
so good.
Almost everyone that I talked to that saw it was like, we were waiting for, like, the DUI story or the, something. And you're like, oh no, this dude is like a legit angel that came down from wherever. And
yeah, he's like empathy personified, and just as I don't know, I'm not an expert on Mr. Rogers. I did see that documentary, and it's amazing. Now when I catch a clip of it, like when I've been doing the live streams for music, I've used Fred Rogers a couple of times, just quotes that he said, because like I don't know if poignant's the right word, but he really does. He frames things that are, and almost like George Carlin, right? But that guy's a language master, and he's just sitting there like crafting. It's work. His jokes are work. It's also like modern day scripture or whatever for a lot of folks.
You gotta like definitely focus and try and take in everything that Carlin's saying.
Oh, absolutely. But it's very much completely written down to point. But catching, like, I started thumbing through Fred Rogers interviews, like Charlie Rose and stuff like that, where you can get a good audio sample without background noise and stuff. And it's like your PBS interviews, and he's it's just like he's so damn slow when he's talking, but it's clear because he wants to be thoughtful in everything that he says.
Yeah,
and just
everything out.
that alone is just enough to give you pause to try to be better in communicating with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, definitely like what he's thinking before he talks and making sure it's, you know, a sincere thing to say. But yeah, he was never like really. I mean, he's been around forever. I obviously remember watching him, but
Sure.
it really wasn't like my wheelhouse. But
Right. I would watch Sesame. I just thought it was kind of strange. I think.
Lady Elaine always creeped me out.
Oh, fuck the whole Puppet Land.
Yeah.
I was telling like Kat grew up watching Mr. Rogers. We watched an episode recently of just a random Mr. Rogers episode all the way through on YouTube. And it went like the trolley comes out, right? And I was like, oh fuck me. And like Kat's like, what? And like it was like her favorite part as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess, you know, little girls, little boys, different show. I don't know. But yeah, I absolutely hated that whole world in there, everything about it. And like I remember having a problem at the time with just like the fact that humans would walk in and interact with the puppets. I was like, wait, okay, I'm trying to give you a little suspension of disbelief here, but this doesn't make sense unless you acknowledge him as a giant.
Yeah.
That bothered me. But yeah, the prince with the rosy cheeks. Yeah, that's just, and what he would do with his hands, like this is just bad puppet work.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Lady Elaine until I was in Oregon and my buddy was like, we were at a bar and he goes, yeah, that guy looks like Lady Elaine. I'm like, from Seinfeld? And he goes, no, from Mr. Rogers. And we Googled him and I was like, ugh. And I was like, wait, that's a terrifying puppet to have as like a.
They were all pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I think Sesame Street does a good job though, because that was kind of like we would watch that like before all
the
this.
music was off the hook too.
Dude, it's great.
Yeah,
they always have the coolest theme songs too. I thought.
Yeah,
but yeah, like we would only let the girls watch like a movie on Friday night. But then, as you know, like you're trying to get ready for work and you have time limits, and like they're, you know, you got all this stuff. It's like, you guys can watch TV in the morning, but it's just gonna be Sesame Street, and it'll be for like 20 minutes or half hour, however long an episode is, while we get ready or whatever.
Sure.
And like I definitely caught myself kind of being like, this show's rad.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's great. It's awesome. They had like, you know, OK Go was on a bunch of episodes. They did a bunch of music for them, and you know, they just kind of like. They kind of evolved with society, you know. They had like, they would cover divorce, they would cover gay marriage, they covered autism. They have an autistic character. But yeah, they still all coexisted in this little make-believe land where there's humans and.
See, that didn't bother me for some. I think it was like a size thing. Like
yeah, and I think they mentioned it too, like.
Well, yeah, you're a bird.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
You're a giant bird. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you live in a garbage can. I didn't realize that Elmo was a monster, though.
Is that supposed to be like he's a cute monster, like a juxtaposition thing?
Yeah, and there's a witch that they openly call a witch.
I don't know about the witch.
Abby. She's a newer one. Wow, this really went into like full on.
So, well, I mean, when you start with suicide, you're going to wind up in Sesame Street.
Yeah, you have to. You got to go back to
where it was a kind of interesting path that we got there. But
so. When we first started hanging out, I knew that you played music and you had done it, and I think we even recorded some stuff.
That computer's fried.
Oh,
sorry.
That's all right. But so then you just, was it through all that loss and stuff? Because it looks like around 2006, 2016, you started getting back into it.
Yeah. Even when I was doing really not well in early 2015, I didn't really have much desire to play music at the time. And like you say, like when I met you, like music felt like something that was in the past to me. You know, like I occasionally, you know, jam a little bit with somebody, very, very rarely. And it just felt like, you know, I would catch myself saying I used to be a musician and things like that, you know, which, the instruments all got dusty and I didn't put any time and work into too much of anything. I did record. Well, it was 2006 when we met. We were hanging out.
God damn.
Yeah, we were hanging out a little bit the next few years.
Yeah, in Cassie Val.
Yeah. Oh God. Man, I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't realize how much I didn't care for that area of the Bay Area, Castro Valley.
The house was cool.
Yeah, but then you try living in a few years, rats in your attics and walls is kind of gross. And the weird relationship we have with our landlord and people living in the backyard and stuff. splitting that house. Next
oh yeah,
door.
that's right. I was thinking about it. It was like two. You had a neighbor that lived like a wall apart from you guys. The deck was awesome.
The deck was awesome. The jacuzzi of death. Yeah, it was. No, I have lots of good memories and stuff, and maybe it was the right place for that moment in time.
Yeah.
But before moving to Concord, and we only did because we decided there was an opportunity for us to buy a house, and it was probably going to be the only window in our existence as long as we live in California, and that is so far proving to be true.
Yeah, for sure.
That the realtor we spoke with, a friend of a friend, he explained to us, like, I think given your, what you're willing to spend and what you're looking for, you might want to consider Concord. And to us, Concord was just one of those places. Whenever there's a heat wave, the numbers are a little bit too high.
Yeah.
That's all we knew of it. Kat came out here one time for chasing down a Craigslist job interview back when we were still living in San Francisco. Driving forever, and then there was like a tunnel, and then like, because the San Francisco mindset, you like everything outside of San Francisco is just a whole bunch of freeways and like chaos.
Yeah, and weird little towns.
Right. And the further you go east, the scare, like the less San Francisco-y it is. Yeah. Anyway, so she came out here, and she, like, the way she painted the picture, it just made it sound like it. For some reason in my head, I imagined no trees in Concord. I just imagined just like burnt, like, flatland hills, and then like a couple of skyscrapers that have like scam offices in them. Like, that's like was my so I was just like, I don't know about Concord, dude. You want to come back with something a little closer, like Hayward or something, something around here? And we looked at like maybe a dozen houses in that area before looking at a few up here, and then realizing, oh, Concord's nothing like what I thought it was. And then eventually we looked at 74 houses. This was the 74th house, or this is on the final day when we looked at like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then that final day we had already walked 74 houses before deciding on this. And this one's imperfect, but we didn't realize how good it was in terms of proximity to BART station and downtown, and just far enough from the freeways that you can only really hear the cars if it's like a super still night and the wind's blowing a certain direction. Even BART, I haven't noticed since we started recording. I haven't heard it go by once.
Yeah, that was one thing I remember, like, because I used to date a girl that lived out here in Concord, and you could hear. Well, I mean, I don't really know where I am right now, but
you're close to downtown.
Okay,
we're like 1 mile east.
Okay, yeah. So I remember being able to hear the BART station or the BART train in her backyard. So
yeah. Well, it cuts all straight through town. There's 2 BART stations here. But no, aside from that, but like just being able to, for the first time in my adult life, find community in my community, and mostly my community, if you will, prior to living in Concord, was basically a network of friends I grew up with, some small extensions of that network, including you, and co-workers and ex-co-workers. And that was just my reality. Those are the people that I knew in time. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people are probably pretty comfortable with that. I didn't realize the value of actually embracing community, identifying with your town and feeling a sense of community in that town. I didn't realize how important that was and what a huge asset it is. And having found it and being a lot more active the last couple of years in terms of like inserting myself into the conversation and trying to help give voices to folks that have no representation, folks that don't look like me or talk like me, to try to help the people that will listen to me that are in power hear those points, and work with folks that are trying to help do that too. But aside, without getting into the political stuff, the local politics stuff, just the sense of community in general here. It was crazy. It started kind of with when Top Grenade went in 2014, and I'd already gone through most of my beer nerdom. Totally did the craft beer, like chasing whales and all that shit.
Yeah, dude, you were weren't you trading beers with people? Like,
oh yeah. I went way into that. Like that was my thing for a while. Like I wasn't on social media, so my downtime at work was like beer forums and reading and learning about it, and like. The amount of time I would put into, people would often ask like, oh, when are you gonna start homebrewing? And I just probably being deflective and lazy, when would always say like, dude, I love sushi too, but I don't cut fish. It's just like you don't have to make what you enjoy. And I still believe that's true. I still haven't homebrewed a single batch or really participated in it.
Yeah, it's never really been something I'm interested in doing.
I used to say you need, for everything I know about it, you need a lot of time and you need a lot of space, and I don't really have a lot of either. And that was probably not true.
You can do it right here.
Yeah, of course you can. I got a fucking backyard.
We're
There's
doing
people
podcasts
doing it
in
like
the
in
backyard.
like exactly right. We have a whole setup going
You
on.
can do it in
here.
an apartment.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't.
I think.
But I guess I just didn't want to.
Yeah, it's just like I've kind of been. I think somebody gave me one of those like bought it at Ross beer sets before. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's not of interest to me. I almost bought a still. But decided against that.
I was invited to come along and help in the process of that one time on a batch of whiskey, and then I started talking. And I was like, "Oh, well, what would my role be? I don't know how to do this." And they're like, "Oh, you can bankroll it." And I was like, "Wait, you think I'm rich or something because I have a house?" Like,
yeah, I think this still was like $500. And I was like, oh, well, if me and my brother-in-law split it, that's $250. I was like, well, we're gonna use it one time. Yeah. And then what?
Right.
Like you're gonna sell it for like
talk about it on a podcast.
Yeah. Then sell it for $100 and so, but no, I'm glad you got back into music, man. Because when you put out "Keep Doing," not like I was hesitant, but like whenever a friend puts something out,
makes you nervous. Yeah,
you're kind of like, obligated.
Sure.
Like I gotta do this. But no, dude, that was amazing.
That's awesome.
Man. I really enjoyed it. It's like
your feedback was it was one of the warmest moments in that really uncomfortable time of release, becoming a public artist or whatever, which is, it sounds so fucking self-important to say public artist, but like at the same time it is that, and music's always been something I share with closer friends, and to take that leap and be like, all right, well, it's everywhere now, and fuck it, like. It's not my favorite thing that I've done, but there was so much, there was a lot of care taken to it, and it was really important feeling for me to do it, and there wasn't a bold statement being made. I don't feel like at any real point. It was other than taking it very seriously, and I had never taken my music that seriously before, and Ken is a huge reason that it was able to get to that. And it's fucking, I lost money. Like, I didn't pay Ken a damn dime. I mean, I bought him some steaks and beers every time I go down to the studio. But, I didn't hire anyone to push the album or anything like that, so it didn't really do shit. It's just fizzling out there. It cost me money to keep making it available every year. Not much.
Really?
Not much at all. Just $20-$30 for distribution stuff. But no, where am I going with this? The ultimate reward, and again, it might sound cliche to say, but it's absolutely sincere, was that like next month, just these random 3 a.m. messenger messages, Instagram messages, and texts that I would get from people that I love, telling me specifically the way that they connected with, either a particular song or the 20-minute sit down. And hearing people tell me that they were inspired made me feel like very small and very, very big at the same time. Humbled,
Yeah, that's kind of, I think the thing I sent you was like, I can't keep using the excuse of having kids not to play music or be creative in some way. I don't know the last time I played drums. The drum set's in my house. It's set up. It's got I spent like $400 to buy these special soundproof heads and cymbals. The girls like banging on it, but at the same time, it's like I don't really have any desire to be in a band anymore.
Right.
Or really like, I don't know, go play drums for 5 minutes, and my hand hurts, so I guess I'll just go sit on my phone.
And these days, are you finding yourself more drawn to? Are you thirsty for it again, or
no?
No. So, but do you have moments of inspiration? Yeah,
I still like constantly air drum, or I'm always tapping on something, or like we have like an upstairs loft type thing, which is now an office. But that's where the drum set was, and we're trying to get an air conditioning unit up there. So that's kind of my thing. I was like, well, once it's not 103 up there, I can go up there and play drums. I have time now. And
oh Jesus, so that's a pretty sizable attic.
Our attic.
Oh wow.
But the room up there is small, so it's just like it's a weird little loft that they built. It's great. It's a guest room, but it just gets so hot up there.
Right.
And that's where Katie works right now, and it's usually like 10 degrees hotter than it is outside.
Yeah, that's how attics work.
Yeah, so it's just attic space that they converted to a room.
Crazy. Yeah, mine's super uncomfortably narrow.
Yeah.
We just did what you. It sounds like you guys are. We paid other people to do it.
That's
Fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And then this first heat wave that hit this year, it was just pissing out like 75-degree air. Like, what the fuck? And the inside of the house hit 88 degrees, and we were like, we just paid. Well, we're paying off $30,000 goddamn dollars. We had our entire attic redone.
Yeah.
So they went through and like sealed every tiny thing under the house, on top of the house. They did a good job, except the house is still hot.
Yeah,
it's not a very good job.
We did ours last summer, and they just insulated it and then plugged all the holes.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it was like a hot day when those guys came, and it was 3 dudes from North Carolina, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it. It's gonna be us. We're not hiring anybody, if you know what I mean." I'm like, "Okay, guys, just do your jobs." And he's like, "I can't wait. I can't wait till I can get up enough money and get the hell out of California." And I'm like, "All right, dude. Well, I gotta go to work."
That's like the good old boys' like favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like hating on California.
Yeah. Dude, my mom has many friends that have left California. Like it's the older people thing. It's like, I guess their retirement kind of gets screwed up in it, and I don't know, man. I like California. I love Sacramento. So
yeah, I mean, it's not like anyone loves taxes.
No.
You know, no one loves that stuff, and yeah, everyone gets that California. You get what you pay for. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I'll ever be able. That's not fair to say. I'm sure there'll be a moment in my life where I'll be like, I'm perfectly happy living my remaining years in this other country, or maybe one of these northern states on the West Coast. But I love California.
Yeah, it's great.
Every goddamn thing about it. The Sierras. Hey, let me ask you this. I know you got kids, so that changes things a little bit. But with your proximity, being in Sacramento, are you taking advantage of the Sierras?
I own a cabin in the Sierras.
Well, there you go.
So
that's right. I saw you doing a little bit of wiring and shit up there, right?
A lot of wiring. Yeah, 4 years ago. So my sister has one. It's in Twin Bridges, which is just north of Strawberry, which is like a half hour from.
Strawberry's off 120.
No, it's off 50.
Strawberry?
Yeah, there's 2 strawberries. There's 2 strawberries in California. Everyone gets them confused because one is, I don't even know where the other one is.
It's on Sonora Pass.
Yeah, it's by Amador or something like that. So it's up. We're essentially a half hour south of South Lake Tahoe.
108 is what I meant. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, right next to Camp Sacramento. So about 10, 12 years ago, my sister and brother-in-law bought one, and then 4 years ago, they're like, "Hey, we think the one next to us is for sale." And we're like, oh, "Okay, that's cool." And they're like, "Why don't you guys go check it out? It'd be a really cool thing with, whatever." And we're like, "Okay." So we go up there, and the real estate agent meets us up there, and it's beat to shit. Like, it has not been touched since like probably early 80s.
Right.
Like, just the way it's decorated, the insides were all beat up. I'll show you pictures afterward, but so it's Forest Service land. So I can do whatever I want on the inside, but I can't change the footprint of the cabin.
Okay.
And I don't own the land around it.
Has that created any obstacles so far in your plannings?
I don't. No, not right now.
Dude, is there an air show today?
Apparently. It's
well, these aren't terribly hot mics, are they?
I don't think so. Yeah. So we go in and they accept our offer, but yeah, no. As far as it being Forest Service, it hasn't yet affected anything. We do need to change this. The steps out front are all blown out and bent and everything. So they have to do that. We have to submit like the request to fix the deck and all that stuff. But other than that, no. We've completely remodeled.
How was it for the drive? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah, an hour and a half, hour 20.
Not bad to get to a vacation home.
Yeah. So
are you doing vacation rental by ownership? No,
that's a Forest Service. You can't do anything like that. I think if you were to be like, "Hey, we want to go up there for a week," I'd be like, "All right, here are the keys, go."
Oh,
but
sure.
I couldn't do like an Airbnb.
Any actual business. Yeah. Right.
So, but it's cool, man. Like, I never really saw myself as like, "Oh, I'm gonna rebuild a house," or "I'm gonna do this," and all of a sudden it's like, "Shit, I bought this thing. I have to do something with it."
Yeah.
So, and thank God my brother-in-law, I think, knows all this stuff, and it really was just him and I. And then through luck, the guy that remodeled their kitchen at their house, lives 3 houses from me.
Oh, nice.
So I hit him up, and he was like, he's probably like in his early 70s. So him and his 2 buddies, we went up there and fixed the foundation, and then he has a friend that's an electrician that has a cabin not that far from Strawberry, or in Strawberry, like 5 minutes from us, and he's like, I'm up there all the time. I'm like, okay, man, well, if I kick you a couple $100 bucks,
yeah.
I'll work with you on the wiring. Yeah. So yeah, we're going up there this weekend to finish some stuff, and then the following weekend, my brother-in-law's brother and his nephew are going up, and that should be it. Like, that's
in terms of putting it together.
Put it together.
So how long has this process been?
A year.
Not bad, man.
Well, it took I'll say a year and a half, because we gutted everything, and then when it snows, you can't go up there.
Right.
Because it just dumps 17
What's the elevation?
6,000 feet.
Oh shit, you're up there.
Yeah, you definitely feel it. Like
Right.
the first few times you go back up there, you're like, "Ooh, I just got out of my car and I got winded."
Right.
Like it's quite the adjustment, and like the water's spring fed, so I got to hike up a mountain, drop the line in, come
Nice.
back down. It's pretty rustic, but we've, I mean, yeah, it's nuts. I'll show you pictures.
That sounds pretty awesome.
But yeah, we just as far as taking advantage of it, yeah, I mean, I'm up there pretty much like every weekend now, and we did take the girls up there, and they loved it.
Yeah.
They got to go up there when there was like still a little bit of snow, so they got to see snow for the first time. And
Right.
the American River runs right through the like
Oh,
the little thing we got to
awesome.
cross. Sometimes it's a little bit too high and it gets kind of sketchy, but yeah, no, it's rad.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that kind of shit now, huh? Like when it the rapid weather fluctuations, like after a good snow.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's like a heat wave. And like, oh fuck, if that melts too fast.
Yeah. Or sometimes I guess they can kind of control what comes out too. And there's times too, like, I mean, they won't keep it super high right now because
Right.
people are gonna be at the lakes and all that stuff.
Oh, so the flow is managed.
It's managed, but sometimes it's out of control too.
Right.
Like I've driven through it and I'm kind of like, oh, all right, that's like glad I have a truck. So, but
Scary.
yeah, no, I never really looked at myself as like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to do all this stuff. But it is that boost of confidence, and it's that nervousness too. Like going back to like not equating it to putting music out, but it is, hey, I'm gonna be taking somebody else's time to help me with this.
Yeah.
And I need them to have the confidence in me that I'm not gonna screw this up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, kicking yourself in the ass.
Mhm.
You know, doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of at this point, it doesn't matter what I called that music back then. I'm gonna hate the title by this point anyway, you know. But the I guess the idea there with the keep doing thing was you know, speaking to myself mostly, just do shit. Like, hey, you got everything. You found your floor. You built yourself all the way back up. Do something with it.
Yeah.
And since that that time, I don't know. I feel like I have, and I feel like I'm seeing friends that kind of came from that place of slumber, so to speak, doing more shit, getting more involved in their communities, getting more involved in music, whatever the case, just being more active, and it's just so important because otherwise you know there's like it's that difference between surviving and living, and like when you kind of have that about face with yourself and ask yourself which is it that you're doing, it can be, you know, the trick is to be honest about it, I guess. And then if you realize that you can do more and you're willing to do more, you have to also want to do more. And then once you can, like, I don't know, like I'm a horribly organized person. Like I grew up with junk drawers, multiple in the kitchen, so that's just kind of, there's always been a part of my life that is always going to be cluttered, shitty, and unorganized. And Kat's the exact opposite, and she came from the exact opposite. You know, things were, the mail was labeled and dated. You know, that came in from the mailbox.
Oh, wow.
Received on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. So that doesn't mean that she's doing that yet. But they're just very different ideas of what's a acceptable system of order, and I've always been a little bit chaotic there. So if you told me that I'd be able to spin multiple plates that involve you know, other people, like you were saying earlier, having this dude take his time to help you, you owe him that confidence, and that's kind of how I feel when I start, you know, I have groups that, you know, people that I brought to the table, organized folks that are counting on me now, And so these multiple plates that are spinning. If you told me that I would kill to have something like that together, that I would want to do something like that, and that I wouldn't fuck up too badly in managing multiple spinning plates at the same time, I would not believe you at all.
Yeah, it's a huge boost to your confidence.
Sure, it is.
You know,
well, because when you start seeing the product of your work, you know, whether that is making a record or you know, just it's been immensely rewarding. This couch concerts thing we've been doing the past few weeks, or many weeks now. We're going into our 4th episode next week. But this like, talk about being able to see the fruits of your labor. Like, it's a lot of we're getting better about communication. We're all on Slack now. You ever use Slack?
I've never heard of it.
Oh wow, we can. Damn, that was quick.
Yeah.
That was really bad, but it was really quick. Yeah, but it's a good way. I think it's going to be kind of the future of workspace in the future. Like something like it, not necessarily Slack, but basically, like, we all grew up in a time where, you know, computers were already in the offices and every workspace. You know, they're in the high schools in our case. So everyone was already trained with the Windows mindset and how to use technology and how to use communication. Email made a lot of sense. Email doesn't make a lot of sense anymore in that same way that it did then. So that, like, rethinking about how this kind of stuff works and how, you know, the next 2 generations grew up on social media and threads and engaging in forums and Reddit and stuff like that. There's kind of an in-between thing, and that's what Slack is.
Okay.
Where basically all the things that you're working on with your company can be individual channels, and in those channels, someone says something about a topic or whatever, and then that will spark a thread.
Oh, wow.
And then instead of going through your fucking email forever looking for that one link, how many times have you done that the past few weeks, looking for that Zoom link, right?
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, they sent it on Messenger. Oh, no, it was text. Damn it.
Oh, it's an Instagram direct message.
Yeah, totally. It's super annoying.
Yeah.
But if you're working with people and the goal is to make sure that you're not having these sidebars all over the place, you just put it all there, and no one's going to have a good excuse to have missed that email or that information, because everyone can be as current as they choose to be on whatever subjects they're related to in that shared effort.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's not bad. So I'm doing that. Right now with Concord Communities Alliance, and I have a different workspace set up for Concord Couch Concerts, and it's way better. Meetings have gone way down. I was super busy the past few weeks with meetings. It was crazy how many Zoom meetings I'd be in, but things have mellowed out because we don't need to meet to just remind each other to do things. You know, we can just keep that conversation going on Slack, and so that's been good. But anyways, getting to my point, like, Slack's kind of buzzing right now. I'm getting a couple of messages too, but right now work is being done on that episode. And next Friday, I'm going to sit down with a beer and I'm going to watch the episode and just get to see. I mean, we preview all this, you know, we screen everything that comes in, but to actually enjoy the back-to-back performance of totally different styles of music and people that I never met, and they're just pouring out of their living room, pouring love into the TV screen at that moment. It's just like, this is fucking awesome.
So I haven't checked it out yet. I've seen them because I follow you on Instagram. Is it just people setting up and playing and then it's streamed, or is it kind of like a...
Yeah, well, it's basically we're producing a 2-hour film, and then that's shown, it's live streamed. So we the first time we really wanted to have that illusion of live, so that everyone that doesn't know anything about how AV works would watch it and be like, that's crazy, that guy's playing in his living room right now, and I'm in my living room watching it. So yeah, we kind of wanted to do that, and I think it was actually kind of effective in holding that illusion the first time. But we decided that that's just so unimportant. The fact that it's live streamed, it gets everyone involved in the comments, and there's a lot of love that happens in that moment, which is fucking rad.
Yeah.
We were thinking, I mean, you're going Facebook Live or Instagram Live, you know, you get like 5 people maybe watching. It's big, 12, 14. It's like a bigger audience. 20 is pretty big. So we were measuring success by, if we had 50 live viewers in that first one, 50 to 75 would be fucking awesome. Because then there's the watch parties, they don't count. Not worth going into all that. But we actually we hit 212 on the first one. We're like, holy fucking shit, this is crazy. Because that means that there's at least like 1,500 or 2,000 people actually watching.
Yeah, for sure.
And the next day we find out, like in the morning, unless people were actually already watching the replay at like 3 in the morning, which is possible, but it was like 3,000 views. And every time since then, it's been 3,000 views.
Is it on YouTube or is it on just Instagram Live?
It's Facebook Live.
Okay.
And then if you go to ConcordCouchConcerts.com, that Saturday, I'll embed the video over there as well.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's 6 hours of content on there, and actually, where there's a radio station out of Vallejo who's going to start playing them. Why not, right? It's a bunch of local music. I think technically, they're called OzCap Radio, I believe. Technically, there's laws about, because there's a lot of cover songs that are played, so you kind of can't. Yeah. But less developed radio stations will just say fuck it and play it anyway.
What's the rule? I mean, I know that you have to have permission to cover it. Is that what it is?
Yeah, legal licensing. Okay. But like, for example, like if you have a lot of friends that have released music, it's really easy to find them on Spotify. It's really easy to find them on Apple Music and stuff. But it's really, you don't usually find them on Pandora.
Yeah.
And that reason, people forget this, but there's so many different streaming platforms now. But it was Pandora that fought all of the legal challenges. And it's Pandora that has to hold their end of all those lawsuits and deals that happen to be able to. And I'm not saying they're a perfect company.
No, I was never a fan of Pandora.
But they were on the front lines of the legal fighting that would happen with the then record industry. And who is it that if you used to like play just CDs at your work, if it was like if you worked at a cafe or a bar, you'd eventually get that letter in the mail that says like oh, you're not allowed to play these unless you sell the records there, and like
I wasn't.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people looking out for that and reporting you, and anyway, to get to the point, Pandora had always, like, because they had those fights, they hold themselves still to those same standards. They're never kind of looking the other way on stuff. And I'm not saying Spotify's that way, but they all the other streaming services and stuff are a little bit more lax with how they take stuff on. And then you have the distributors that are doing a lot of that legal work and the in-between stuff too, like DistroKid. Those folks have their own system in place, but they have even have a hard time getting through to Pandora because Pandora doesn't want to face any more undue lawsuits for any reason. But anyway, we actually just got an email from someone over at Pandora. They might be opening up the next episode, giving us a little shout out.
Oh, nice.
And talking about tools that they have for artists.
Who was the dude that worked for Pandora? That was.
He still does. Russ Johnson.
No, there was somebody else. There was like a tall dude. Anyway, I remember playing softball with him one time. We got together like somewhere in Oakland. And I just remember he worked. I was like, "Oh, you work for Pandora? That's pretty cool." He's like, "Yeah, I work in the classical department." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus." I like classical music, dude, but I don't know anything about it.
I don't know who it would have been.
He may have just been like a friend of a friend that came.
Yeah, we were pretty good at getting 30 people together back then for just playing slosh ball. That was fun.
Those were great.
Yeah, I tried doing that here one time after, once I realized, hey, I know like 30 people, we can do this. But they were all the same people. Like it was the same small circle and they all worked at the same place. It was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, we're not making new friends. Dude, I was so into softball when I lived over here.
It was fun, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Except when you hurt like hell 2 days later.
Dude, I fucked my leg up. Because apparently I'm a pretty competitive person when it comes to softball. I slid into second and didn't realize like, oh, this baseball diamond was built on top of a parking lot. And just destroyed my leg, like to the point where I couldn't go to work for 2 days. I couldn't put weight on it. And I went to the doctor and he's like, this is like a 2nd-degree burn you have on your leg here. So, but yeah, it was always fun until you had like just some monster out there that would just crush the shit out of it, or like, hey, that lady's 50, trying to throw her out from like left field. Give the older people kind of like give them a little benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really understood non-professional sports for adults really until we would do that on occasion. Like, right way in the back of my head, I was like, I should join a community. So no, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Like, I'm never gonna do that.
I was on 2 of them at one point. And it was
were you?
Yeah.
Ken and Phil were down in Santa Cruz. They were on a softball team, Los Menterosos.
I was on Bob's Construction, and then there was another one. But yeah, my neighbor, he was like, I fill in on this softball team every once in a while. I was like, dude, if you guys ever need somebody, let me know. And then it was like, wait, I don't know where my gloves at. I got to stretch for like an hour.
Yeah.
Should I bring beer? Should I not bring beer?
Okay, Krauser, yeah.
Yeah. Do I have cleats? I don't have cleats, so. But
for me, it's like commitment phobia. Like, funny thing to say, got married and bought a house, but I do have quite a bit of schedule commitment phobia. I've been wanting to do this with you. I thought what you're doing is really cool. I wanted to support it in any way I could. So I thought that I've been make time for you. And you were like, does this work for you? I was like, dude, whatever. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll move the Zoom meeting around. You know. Lost my train of thought.
Commitment.
Yeah, softball and stuff. Yeah. I can't commit to the goddamn bocce ball team over here. You know.
I have a hard time committing to these. There's definitely times where I'm just like,
I don't really want to do it.
I've had a few fall in my lap they've turned out amazing, but I'm just like, I don't know this person. I don't want to do it. And then it's just like, fuck it, man. Like, you got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And people tell you they like it.
Yeah.
So just
stay on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stay on it. And that's the other thing is just know that whatever you do, like every time you do, it's not going to be the best. Just fuck it. Do it.
Yeah, that's why I kind of try and stick to, the ones where I've literally had somebody be like, hey, can my buddy come on tomorrow? Mm-hmm. They're promoting an art show. I'm like, yeah, or a photo exhibit. Like, yeah, sure, what time? Like, well, 9 a.m. works for them. I'm like, it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm a few beers in. Like,
yeah.
All right, whatever. And then the next morning, you're like, oh, crap, I got to, like, figure stuff out about this. And
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I felt pretty ill-prepared when we started doing Listen Up Concord. It's a byproduct of Concord Communities Alliance does, we're local residents that try to promote social equity, in short. And one way we started doing that was a podcast, Listen Up Concord. Very different than this format. This is more like inspired by This American Life kind of style. So a little bit more aggressive in editing and production kind of stuff. And smaller bites. That's something that I thought was important.
Yeah.
That to get someone to click on anything takes a lot of work. So my thing was you're going to get more folks paying attention to, even though we're talking about dense subjects, and it's easy to get lost in the weeds. But fine, it's smaller bites. Part 1 of an open-ended series, and then we want to revisit it and get into the nuance. We'll do a part 2. But let's make it sound good. And anyway, we've only done a few episodes. Shelter in place it, right? Yeah. And that should afford me more time because these are mostly it's a team effort to get the content. But once I have the content, I kind of do the writing. We try to get different narrators in there, but I write it out and get everything kind of in the right spot. It's kind of a mess the way I write. I actually just take the audio clips and move them around until I go like, okay, there could be a segue here, there could be a segue here, and then kind of fill it in.
Find that flow.
Yeah, just like take all your content, throw it down, and try to make sense out of it. And then try to put beautiful music behind it too. That could be tricky too. The first time I used my own, so I was like, whatever, just throw this over here.
Do you use the libraries that are out there?
Libraries of music?
Yeah.
No, what I've been doing has been kind of a little bit forward, but it's been effective so far. I reach out to instrumental established artists and say, for example, Zoe Keating. Are you familiar with who she is? She's an incredible cellist. She used to be Bay Area, Berkeley, San Francisco. She lives in Vermont now. Anyways, these are people that are like, very, very accomplished artists, but they're also independent artists that mostly move their product through their website and Bandcamp. So it was like, oh, okay, well that means you're a human being, and I probably don't have a lot of record company stuff in the way.
Yeah,
and
I can go through a lawyer or anything.
Yeah, I can just go through Messenger and just ask you. And so I've done that with I hit up Fugazi to see if they would could let me use some stuff, and they did not get back to me.
Yeah.
But I've heard back from with permission about the music of Zoe Keating, which was incredible. Marissa Anderson, who's a instrumental guitarist, electric guitar. She opened up for Godspeed You Black Emperor in Oakland a couple years ago. It was the first time I saw her and was like, wow, she's dope. And hit her up. She's like, yeah, just point them in my direction. She sent them to my website at the end, and I was like, awesome. So the next one's probably going to be using her music. And this instrumental post-rock band out of San Diego. They've said, yeah, go for it. So I just keep kind of thinking down. I want to think instrumental. I hit up the dude from Do Make Say Think, one of the guitarists from the band, Justin. And he's like, I don't think I can do what Do Make Say Think because legal reasons or whatever, but I'm sure I got some stuff going around. That's cool. So nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to putting it together. I just need everything to kind of settle down, and I put myself in this furloughed moment in a weird time, like I was saying earlier, with all these spinning plates. There's not a lot of time to like sit down and do that process. Like I got buddies now because I'm more organized with musicians. I got people sending me clips and asking me to add something to it, and that's actually giving me a little bit of anxiety right now. Not that I'm sure if I could dedicate the time to it, it'll be fine and it'll be rewarding. But it's that schedule anxiety, it's that commitment phobia that I'm talking about. It's that all of that is just makes me a little bit like I don't know, nervous. But like going to the hosting thing, the podcast post shelter in place kind of turned into a live stream event on our Facebook page, the Listen to Concord Facebook page, and I got more people involved in that. But I'm the face of it, kind of like the host of the show, and that was not my intention when we started the podcast. I'm trying to take more of a backseaty role in that, but again, it's a team effort, and it's a lot to ask someone to just jump in front of what you started. You got to find that right person that's comfortable with it. And, sure.
You probably kind of know what you want out of it.
Right. Well, it's not. I mean, it really should be my thing, though. It should remain something with the organization, coalition of residents. It should be their thing, and I'm kind of uncomfortable being in front of things like that. I will do it out of necessity. I'm uncomfortable talking to cops. I don't want to talk to cops, but I'll do it because they'll listen to me, and to some degree.
Like on the show.
Yeah.
I think if you had like not like a controlled environment, but like kind of like a, hey man, like let's just sit down and talk. Let's get kind of your side of this.
Yeah, there's some of that that we hope to do, but the thing is, we're constantly challenging narrative with local issues, and like the narrative that comes from, this isn't unique to Concord. This is true everywhere. I'm sure of it. The narrative is on any issue, homelessness, crime, whatever. It comes from your city, or your town, or your county, or whatever. It comes from them. And if there's anything like right now, the whole world is talking about taking another look at policing. Who do you think is going to really own the narrative in your local community? Is it going to be the people that have been demonstrating recently? Are they going to make way? Are they going to make progress with your city and your police department who've held the narrative? So what we try to do is insert ourselves into that narrative and reclaim it as reminders that everyone that works for the city, everyone that works for law enforcement, work for you if you're a resident here. That's the parameters. Let us control more of the narrative. And unfortunately, that often means being somewhat antagonistic. Because what you're doing is basically you look at their narrative, say in terms of bullet points, and you can see everything that they skipped over. So it's your job to talk about everything they skipped over, and to not, there's no reason to be sending softballs in those scenarios. So that's, like, I'm not uncomfortable about challenging narrative. I'm uncomfortable about, I don't like talking to cops, I don't like, I've gotten a lot more personal with like our city council.
Did you interview the mayor?
Yeah, last year the mayor came over here, and she was really cool. I mean, we were talking about something innocuous originally. It was for the music episode. Does that need power, or are you good?
No, it's good.
Okay.
I just have this weird panic thing, like, is it going to stop recording?
Oh, yeah, or like, oh, shit, this hasn't been recording the entire time.
Oh,
like
dude.
that thing, has that happened to you yet?
The one that I did with the guy at the record store.
Oh,
it just kept saying waiting for signal. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why is it not working? And then finally it was like, oh, I gotta do this. Click. So.
But yeah, the mayor was here, and it was mostly about music. She plays like here in Concord every year it's a different band, and it's appointed by city council. So they figured out like a predictable, fair-ish way to rotate it. Who's going to be the mayor and the vice mayor every year? So that's a little exhausting for those folks because your time as mayor is a pretty tight window, and so anything bad that happens in your town is on you, and anything good that happens in your town, you get to put a little feather in your cap. Politicians being politicians. Yeah. But she was cool about it. I've said openly over the years, like on social media and stuff, I've very much put her like the money that has helped elect her into her position. I and other people, but I specifically have framed her, made that very public. You know, it's like that it's wrong to have, you know, the Concord Police Officers Association spend $45,000 to help elect her in 2016. That it's wrong to have the Garaventes family, they run a garbage company, some real estate company. It's wrong to have those individuals spend $50,000 to help her get onto that seat. It's wrong to have a couple of people spend $100,000 to basically buy an election.
Yeah.
So I'm already, just knowing that was basically like, it was so upsetting, it got me involved in politics. And then a year later, you know, she's in my living room, we're talking about music. So there's a way to do it, right? You know, I that was maybe, I don't want to call it an olive branch or anything, but it was a way.
Common ground.
Yeah, it demonstrated a great thing that I do believe is true. That you can, rather than picking a side in general, you know, like I always get uncomfortable talking about left and right politics because binary is not the right way to really talk about issues. Off on, you know, it doesn't work that way. Things are way more complicated than that. So when it comes to like people in power and the impact that you can have with them and the relationship that you can develop with them, it's important to be honest and say, like, with some issues you're going to be an ally, and with some issues you're absolutely going to do everything that I'm working against. Absolutely. And I think without saying that was kind of demonstrated in that moment. I'm a little hard pressed to find, you know, situations that are less innocuous than music that she's going to be an ally with me on. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, and now I got like the current mayor, Tim McGallion, has been, he was instrumental in the success of our first Concord Couch concerts and getting it kind of launched, getting the word out there. He let me do a presentation, did a fucking PowerPoint for the city meeting on what Concord Couch concerts is going to look like, and telling them how they can effectively share it. And that's how we made our way up to 3,000 the first year. Yeah, that was pretty rad.
Pretty awesome.
But yeah, I mean, and this guy, you know, I was texting him last night. He went on to an insane. I think it's in Concord. At first, I thought it was in Vallejo. I'm telling the story backwards here. Let me go back to Black Lives Matter on Saturday at a demonstration downtown, which went really well.
Yeah.
But like when we were trying to do this, you and I, it was going to be, I think during the week prior to that, we bumped it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I kept saying like, I'm waiting on the mayor to hear something. Mm-hmm. So at that time, that something was going to be an open forum that either Listen Up Concord, myself in some capacity, CCA in some capacity would be hosting, where he or the city would be present, and the police chief or somebody else at law enforcement would be present, and then they were going to not get softballs, and we're going to no trap questions either. Yeah. Just let's have it out. Let's discuss all this stuff, specifically about how the homeless were treated here in our community. So this is before George Floyd's death.
Okay, so it wasn't like the LA PD one.
No.
Did you see that shit?
No.
Dude,
I don't think so. What is it?
They did a Zoom meeting where they took calls. Everyone was getting 2 minutes at a time, and it was like thousands of people.
Just berating them.
Scott Lurr sent me a couple of them, and it was like they just had to sit there and take it.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened here on Saturday a little bit. There was a lot of don't trust politicians. Yeah. They wouldn't let the politicians have the microphone, which is fantastic. And all the city council was downtown, which is also really cool with them because they had to sit there and listen to it. You know, the cops were present and not forming a line. They were not in riot gear. They had all that shit like in the garages and stuff. It was all there. Yeah. But the presence, they were sensitive to, you know, all last week before Saturday, we were. Let me try to have a little cohesion of what because I'm telling this all over the place and spottedly. From the week when McGallion, the mayor, was going to maybe get this thing going with homelessness, it just became more and more obvious that he wasn't really interested in doing it, or at least that's my perception. It's pushing it a little bit further in the back of the stove, and I realized I was wasting my time and energy. And we're going to have to do something different in order to get this conversation going the right way. And then George Floyd's death happened, and the whole country is, you know, experiencing what we're experiencing right now. and taking another look at policing, taking a scrutiny on your local politicians, which we've been doing. This is a great time for CCA to expand. You know, we're going to definitely, there's so many people that are more engaged and want to be more engaged right now. Sure. And now I'm not just some crazy person on the internet yelling about this individual taking money from the police. Now it's an issue of like, this is exactly the kind of stuff we want to revisit, you know? But yeah, so all of last week, before there was anything publicly organized by anyone for Todos Santos Plaza, that's our downtown area here, where the demonstration went down, before that was the case, for about a week and a half, me and some other folks connected to the Concord activist community were trying to find, like, identify black leadership and say, like, what are you guys doing? How can we help? And we weren't able to really identify anyone that collectively, which was frustrating. Meanwhile, you would see things sprout up on Twitter or Reddit and then fly all over Facebook and then pushed suspiciously. And we would hunt down and try to figure out, like, so who organizes? Meanwhile, not knowing this, law enforcement's doing the same thing. So now they don't know if you're a cop. They don't know who you say you are. And so everyone started getting quiet with people that are actually organizing it. Meanwhile, there's just noise out there, like people just throwing shit up to see what happens. Then you got the white supremacists doing shit. So like it was very uncertain. I just did a hands off of everything. Walnut Creek had a peaceful demonstration in the end, but then afterward there was aggressive looting in broad daylight that seemed completely disconnected. Completely disconnected. That's not just me trying to shape it. Like it looked like totally different people, totally different plan, following totally different social media messaging. And then like a day later, the Clayton demonstrations, the sheriff took over. Clayton doesn't, they basically don't have a law. They basically don't have
just
PD.
A little town,
It's a tiny little town. They make the news when they catch white supremacists over there. Like the kid from Ram, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was basically all the guys that, young white suburbanites that flew across the country from Boston to Berkeley to get involved in those melees that were breaking out. It's a white supremacist like fight club basically, and they've arrested 4 guys. The feds arrested 4 guys thanks to the good work of ProPublica. But one of those guys was some kid from Clayton. Oh wow! And the sandwich shop, Canessa's Deli, the Send Her Back special kind of made some national news. So that you hear a little bit more about Clayton nationally than you do about Concord, but for the wrong reasons. Having said that, I have friends that live there, and there's hope for the community. But that demonstration was like, I can't ID who's starting it. I don't like the idea of going into Clayton hands off. I already got the COVID anxiety, so like I was kind of taking hands off demonstrations outright. But then we're like, okay, something has to happen in Concord, so we try to get something going. Or we weren't able to identify leadership from the black community to take a cue from, because if we could, we'd just get the fuck out of the way, right? So instead, we kind of put our heads together and we're like, all right, let's do this. Let's first let's do it right. Let's get a permit. Right, we didn't need one, but I had to talk to the cops about that. I told the cops what our intentions were doing. I got the mayor on the phone, and we shared a similar vision, and that vision was basically let the city say something, let the cops say something, and then let anyone who wants to say anything say something, and understanding that most of those people are going to be from the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's going to be hard for them to listen to. And that's what we were setting up, and we started working on it. We had guest speakers lined up, specific guest speakers, and then all of a sudden this poster popped. I told that out of order. Before we had speakers lined up, this poster pops up, starts circulating. 2 p.m. Todos Santos Plaza. Like, that's not us, and we're not public with anything yet. And we're like, fuck, who are these people, right? And so we try to look into it, and silence, and it stays, and we're like, well, we're gonna have to do a very abbreviated thing. We'll just do a 2-hour event, and we'll just pass the torch, And I was working with the mayor, with a lieutenant in the police force, and with a bunch of activists. Half of them were uncomfortable with me talking to PD and the city, but we were it was a tightrope, and we were really, really figuring it out. And then eventually, and this is one of the things I learned this week, in this moment, this moment where white privileged folks like myself have to be reminded of things and be ready to listen and to learn and to adapt. And what happened was we eventually did make contact, and through a trusted path of channel of someone that knows someone, we were able to verify that they were two young people at the core of this organized effort, and that they were people of color. And so like, well, let's get, are they local? And they're like, yeah, local enough. That's what I heard. Like, okay, well, I could get lost in the story from here, but at one point, the mother of someone that knew these kids said, I should have called them kids, they're like, I don't know, 20. Yeah. But explained via text to me that like, maybe you guys, like, what you're doing is well intended, and maybe you guys should get out of the way. And we're like, at first I'm like, dude, do you have any idea how much work has been put into this?
Yeah,
Like, and then I caught myself doing that. I was being married to the work, and then like I realized in that moment that it's because of what she said. She said at one point, basically you're taking the microphone away from the youth, and you're taking the microphone away from people of color. And I was like, no one's taking the microphone. Like, you're right to bring up those optics, and I thank you for bringing that up. We have a Zoom meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We will absolutely address this. We definitely don't want to. We want to be sensitive to those optics, and we want to minimize that. And she said, it's not optics though. You're doing it. And now I'm like, I don't know her, right? And so like a part of me is like just defensive, and a part, like, I don't reply to it. I kind of sat with that information for a while, and she left it with, I hope you understand this, or I hope you can see this, something like that.
This is all via text?
This is all via text.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like really mixed and thought about it for a while. Meanwhile, Messenger and texts are blowing up. I got musicians that are organizing the in-between speakers, what songs they're going to play and stuff like that. Jesus Christ. And I've answered to one of them, and I was like, just a heads up, at 4 o'clock we're going to talk about the option of canceling outright. And what the fuck was kind of the response. And eventually we had that meeting, and as a new speaker was joining the Zoom meeting, like ready to talk to us about, she wound up being to speak Saturday after all, but like, sorry, probably not any longer needed. And we came to an uncomfortable decision that mostly my mind went to it as soon as I had a direct path to the organizers just on Instagram and messaged them. I'd already offered our microphone and stuff. They're like, we're good. I was like, do you want to work together? They're like, we prefer to keep things separate. And like, they were super nice about it. And I was like, okay, cool.
And this is the other group that put the poster out.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They've been identified. They're real humans and everything, right? And so I eventually said, rather than be upset with this lady who does have a valid point, but she shouldn't be speaking for somebody else, just like I shouldn't be speaking for somebody else. So I reached out to them directly and I said, would you prefer that we cancel outright? And they said that would be immensely appreciated. And you're like, well, fucking don't have to, right?
Yeah.
So then I canceled with the group and get off that call, and it was some clumsiness there, but we came to the agreement on the idea that if our ultimate goal is to reclaim the narrative away from looting and bullshit and private property, if that's the ultimate goal, why are we reclaiming it? Like, there's Latinos, we're white and Latino. We don't have any black folks really in our network. And who are we to say how it gets reclaimed? And who are we to do the reclaiming?
Yeah.
If these folks can do it, let's do whatever we can to help them. And then what we can do first and foremost is get the hell out of it. And that was an example of letting go of power. And I didn't realize that until after it was done. And then I had to get off that call, and I had to call them there. Then I had to call the lieutenant from the police and explain, like, I know you guys are jazzed on it.
Yeah.
Like, they were thinking, like, man, we're going to do such. It's going to be a really good day for Concord. And they're thinking about it politically too. And that's what we don't want. Anyways, these guys pulled it off all week long to try to get concessions from PD. Like, do not show up and riot. Don't perform a line. And they're like, stay in your lane, basically. Like, our job is to provide safety. We're not ruling out anything.
Yeah, don't tell me how to do my
like,
job.
motherfucker. Because when it happened in Clayton, like, in between all that, Clayton teenagers were kneeling peacefully, and they got gassed as the sheriff's went in. So we're like, okay, does CPD have, like, can we get a guarantee you won't use tear gas? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. Like, just please be sensitive to the fact that even though it's your job to do this, you must understand that, like, you have to be sensitive to the reality that there will be many people at this demonstration that will see your presence as the first act of aggression and escalation. And if that presence is magnified by riot gear, and stuff like that, it's just not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were low profile. It was
good.
chill as hell. Impromptu march, and the cops did their job and stopped traffic for it. I mean, it was the most radical event I've seen here in Concord. And I'm hearing by people that have lived here all their lives that it was like that. They've never. It's like it felt like a turning of the tide, where this used to be a very conservative community, and this was a community where the fucking fists were in the air, and people, even the stop traffic had fists in the air, honking wildly.
Yeah.
And it certainly sounded and felt like support when you walked by them.
Fuck, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The whole thing got pulled off successfully. One of the speakers was plugging his podcast, because that's what you fucking podcast people do.
Yeah, man. You do have to be annoying when you want to plug stuff. So.
No, I know. But he, this guy said, and I invite the mayor. I didn't catch his name, and I invite the mayor of Concord to come on to my podcast. It's on YouTube, Wednesday night at 8. So everyone tune in. I trust the mayor will be there.
Subscribe.
And it was like, what? And like he starts spelling it out. He's like, go to DUKKSOOP. Search that in YouTube, and you'll find my show. And I was like, duck soup intentionally double misspelled. I was like, that's kind of clever, because you're definitely going to find it.
Yeah.
You know, there's like 30 Dave Hugheses out there.
Don't forget to
more than that.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I texted the mayor like a couple days later. I was like, or there was that afternoon. I was like, are you going to go on that show? Like I checked it out. It's basically a hip hop like review with two dudes.
Yeah.
Seemingly pretty stoned, just talking about shit, you know. And I was like, that'd be kind of hilarious to see our mayor rapping with these guys, because like it's just such a juxtaposition of culture.
Like reviewing the new Run the Jewels.
Dude, it was exactly right. I almost wanted to text him, like, give him a little assist. So he went on, and it was last night,
that's awesome.
and we watched it, and he actually did a really, really good job.
That's super cool.
What you need to know about the image of this, though, is that our current mayor, the guy, and he kind of, I don't want to make it sound like rude or like judging, like, you know, how the guy like carries himself or he dresses, but he will remind you of like your friend's dad that was proud of the deck that he built in the backyard and really wants to show you his gas grill. There's a little bit of that vibe to him, and I was like, this will be interesting.
Yeah.
And watched it, and it was actually fantastic. One of the first questions was, do you like hip hop? I was like, this is amazing, dude.
I'm gonna check it out. That sounds dope.
Yeah, it was pretty. He did a good job. He did a good job for the most part. I mean, he totally, you know, they didn't push him very hard on anything, because they were just so stoked to have the mayor on. And I don't know, it was cool. Hopefully, he goes back on and they can get more nuance in the conversation. Yeah. All my peeps started showing up and asking questions.
That's awesome.
Like, hey, this question's from Dave. I was like, God damn, you're not supposed to say who I am.
Yeah.
No, of course, the mayor sees like all that too.
Yeah,
So he sees what's happening. He's like, oh, here comes CCA.
Yeah.
Like asking the same questions.
Oh man, yeah. I think those guys are gonna hopefully, like, politicians, gonna open up to more of that stuff, being more kind of like, you know. I think I mean, I don't know your thoughts on Gavin Newsom, but I think the dude's cool, and I feel if there was something like, you know, a good local podcast that had the following, you know, he would probably be hip to going on it.
It's that following thing that, like, that's one of the things when you text me, you're totally in the sun. You want to adjust?
I'm good.
He was one of the things he texted me. It's like, it doesn't seem like they have the biggest following. And I was just like, well, neither do we. Like Listen Up Concord doesn't. He'd probably come on our show if we asked you to. You know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. My sister, she worked for a council member in Sacramento, and she was like, oh, you should have this guy on. He's kind of, I can't remember what he did, but she was texting with him, and his first question was, what's the following? And I was like 12, you know. And then there was nothing. I can't remember what the guy did or why she reached out to him, but
following this is where influencers become like a big deal on social media, right?
Yeah.
What a weird world.
Man, like, I want to be able to air it on YouTube, like long form, but I can't until I have 1,000 subscribers. And
that's so weird. Now, is that because it's like a business account, or like, I mean, without having a podcast, can I put hour-long things up on YouTube, or do I have that same?
It has to be. You have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can put something over 15 minutes. So I'll put this up, and it'll be 14 and a half minutes because I do an intro. And then it's just so that because I mean, a lot of people are making a lot of money on YouTube, and it'd just be like, oh, you have 2,200 subscribers, like.
I'm not going to look at it now, but I did put Hughes behind the music up, that thing that Joel made, that ridiculous video.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 20 minutes.
It may have changed. I know it changed recently because my brother, he did something, and then they bumped it up to 1,000. So it was kind of like at one number.
Yeah.
And then like, whoa, everybody has like 200 subscribers, so we got to bump it up, and it really weeded out. Just whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they basically make you commit.
Right.
Because getting 1,000 subscribers is not easy.
Sure.
My brother said it took like a year and a half. And you have to like learn the algorithm. You gotta like hashtags and all that shit. So, but no, man, I think what you're doing is awesome. This is it's really cool to see that you're this involved, and
it's cool, man. I hope you know, I want to keep doing most of it.
Yeah, why not? Right? Even after all this COVID crap stops, like, keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, some of it, like, I like the, I've been doing the weekly music things. I got one tonight, and I have a half-tuned piano, so that I'm kind of stressing on that. I don't know the songs that I'm planning on playing super well on piano, but I might have a little nervous about this, because no one's been in our house. People have been in our garage. No one's been in our house. But might have a trumpet player show up for a couple songs at the end of it. My buddy Ben from Sabertooth Unicorn and a number of other bands.
It's a great name.
Dude, that band, you're gonna love them. Check them out. Like their album "Existence Is Futile" is a really fun, good listen, and they're I know that you're gonna connect with them.
Okay.
I'm not just plugging a local band that's becoming my friends over recent months, but no, it's quality music. I was so moved by it that I was just like so excited there was local music that was this good. That I actually wrote like a winded review and then realized I shouldn't review things. But yeah, I don't know. It's a damn good album. I hope that all my friends that have somewhat of a similar palette of music and music appreciation as I do check it out. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I know you gotta get to tuning a piano and get your show up and running. So concert couch connections. No,
sure.
Not connections. Concert what? What is it?
You know, there's some alliteration in play, right? Concert, hospitality, couch, concert,
Coco.
Yeah, it's Concord Couch Concerts, and it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Like if you ever have to say
Concert
it, you want to
couch.
practice a couple of times. Yeah. I've been telling people that are doing little commercials and stuff for us. But yeah, that's the first and third. Currently, it's the first and third Friday. But as soon as things start opening up and people have alternatives to do Fridays at 8 p.m. at facebook.com/Concord Couch Concerts. As soon as things start opening up, we're gonna have to look at another place to do them. We definitely want to continue doing them. There's still a lot of artists we haven't even touched yet. We're very minimal recycling of acts, and in fact, we haven't really truly recycled a single act yet. We've just kind of done guest cameos and other people's performances. So it's really building up that community end of it, which is great. We're going to our 4th episode next Friday, June 19th, which is Juneteenth. And there'll be some homage to that, including Bandcamp.com, open business that most independent musicians utilize. Bandcamp.com is doing all their it's not a royalty-free day. They do those on the first Friday of the month, which is when we have a show, which is very convenient. But they're doing their cut of all sales for that day, for June 19th, is going to the legal defense fund for NAACP. So I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. So we're working with them, trying to get them to do a little spot for it too. So yeah, it's great. We're definitely enjoying it. So after things open up, though, it might be a different day. But also after things open up, there's going to be quite likely another shelter-in-place thing that happens.
Yeah, who knows, man?
Who knows, indeed.
Yeah,
let's not try to forecast it.
So, and then you got the Dave Hughes 8:45 thingy.
Yeah, that's at my music page is facebook.com/Mr. Dave Hughes, MrDaveHughes. Every Thursday at 8:45. Been doing them for a while now. I only have so much original music. It's almost all original music. I do usually 2 covers, and try to change those up. I try to change the setup as much as possible, but it takes me years to write a single song. So I'm working with like, a dozen and a half songs maybe. That's been great.
The one that I caught, we'll wrap up. I don't want to keep you longer. The one that I caught, I think I caught a couple, like 2 of them maybe. I was really pretty surprised to see that you did One Long Evening.
Oh yeah, I've done it a couple times. Sometimes it really gets me. It's a little intense.
Yeah, it's a rough one, but
yeah, it's not a song I ever planned on playing live.
I think you should do a fake Modest Mouse song. Those are always my favorites.
Oh, like, well, I went to the well, and oh well, the well was dry. Oh my mind.
Dude, those are always the funnest. Just sitting on that porch, just drunk as hell, making up Modest Mouse lyrics, and you're like, this is pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not hard.
No,
post Moon Antarctica. Like everything after that was just like,
oh my mind.
Just like lazy, clever wordplay.
Yeah. Yeah, Modest Mouse like the Chili Peppers. It's probably the easiest band to write lyrics for. Because Chili Peppers just kind of like mumble and scat.
And say places. That's one thing that both those bands have in common is doing the little Johnny Cash I've been everywhere man for no reason most of the time.
Idaho!
Oh, Idaho, goddamn!
Yeah, pretty much. That's like every Modest Mouse song.
Yeah, so, but, I did do a Modest Mouse song recently. I had to go at the first song off of Lonesome Crowded West, but I didn't do From the Top of the Ocean. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do that whole section because that would be fucking ridiculous. So I just like picked it up from like And the Television's On with the slower part, but then did do the ending. I got into it.
Yeah.
I had a good time doing it.
Yeah, I kind of tried to get back into them and then just failed. I've been on a really weird Grateful Dead kick lately. I never got into them.
I never did either.
I always was like, fuck that band. But then...
It was really fucked up following the whole time.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah, it's like Fish.
Because on Spotify, I just hit shuffle, and it's like, holy shit. First of all, none of these songs sound alike. Second of all, like, musically, especially like guitar stuff, I don't know guitar, but like, they're probably one of the more underappreciated bands.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm on like day 3 of this. And I can only get to like a couple of songs.
Well, they have a massive catalog too, right?
It's like thousands.
So you got a couple of weeks in there.
Yeah.
On your dead kick.
Yeah. So, but anyway, man. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. I know we have moved this around a few times.
Yeah, I feel like every time we got into any subject, we quickly moved away from it. But that's free form.
Yeah. What happens.
Thanks for keeping up with my meandering mind.
No, hey man, that's I got a wanderer inside me too. So, but all right, man. Well, yeah, we'll definitely do this again. It was fun.
Awesome, dude.
Cool.
Best of luck.
All right, man.
Take it easy.
Alrighty. Cool.
Now we tell racist jokes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let me turn this mic off. So, cool. Yeah, I know it definitely. I wander a lot. So.
Oh no, we were both doing it. But yeah. The bummer thing about we went well too long. A couple times I tried to return it, I kept moving us away from it. But when Corey passed away, that like Ken